From a young age, she envisioned her life unfolding in a specific order: graduate by 25, find a successful husband by 30, and settle into a life of comfort and luxury. She was never one for the ordinary. She craved the extraordinary, the kind of life depicted in glossy magazines. By her 30th birthday, Amelia had checked off every item on her meticulously crafted list. She had graduated with honors, landed a high-paying job in finance, and most importantly, met the man of her dreams, Edward, a charming and wealthy entrepreneur who swept her off her feet. Edward was everything she had ever desired in a partner: handsome, sophisticated, and incredibly successful. Their wedding was the talk of the town, a lavish affair at a sprawling vineyard, complete with cascading floral arrangements and a guest list that read like a who's who of the city's elite. Amelia was on cloud nine, her dream playing out exactly as she had envisioned. Edward whisked her away to their new home, a magnificent Victorian mansion perched atop a secluded hill. The house was a testament to Edward's success, and Amelia's impeccable taste, a symbol of the opulent life they were about to build together. Little did Amelia know, a darkness lurked beneath the surface of her perfect life, waiting patiently to reveal itself. The first few weeks in their new home were blissful. Amelia reveled in the grandeur of the mansion, spending her days exploring its many rooms and indulging in the luxurious amenities. Edward, however, was often away on business, leaving Amelia to navigate the sprawling estate on her own. It was during these solitary moments that Amelia began to notice the peculiarities: a misplaced vase here, a flickering light there, subtle occurrences that she initially dismissed as figments of her imagination. But as the days turned into weeks, the strange happenings grew more frequent, more difficult to ignore. One evening, while preparing dinner, Amelia could have sworn she saw a fleeting shadow dart across the hallway, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. A shiver ran down her spine, sending a prickle of unease through her. She brushed it off, attributing it to the unfamiliar surroundings and her overactive imagination. Yet deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted, a nagging feeling that something was amiss within the walls of their seemingly perfect home. The grand mansion, once a symbol of her dreams, began to feel more and more like a gilded cage, its beauty overshadowed by an unsettling sense of unease. The mansion stood at the end of a long, winding driveway, shrouded by towering oak trees that cast long, ominous shadows across the property. Built in the late 1800s, the house exuded an air of faded grandeur, its once vibrant facade now weathered with time. Inside, the mansion was a labyrinth of dimly lit hallways, cavernous rooms with high ceilings and ornate furniture draped in dust covers. A grand staircase, its mahogany banisters polished to a gleam, dominated the foyer, leading to a warren of bedrooms on the upper floors. Each room was like a time capsule, filled with antiques and artifacts from a bygone era. Elaborate tapestries adorned the walls, depicting scenes of hunts and battles, their colors faded with time. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceilings, their prisms casting fractured rainbows across the dusty floors. But beneath the surface of its former glory, a sense of unease permeated the house. The air was heavy with the scent of dampness and decay, and a palpable silence hung in the air, broken only by the creaking floorboards and the distant howling of the wind. It was as if the house itself held its breath, harboring secrets within its walls. One particularly unsettling incident occurred on a stormy night. Amelia was alone in the house, Edward away on one of his frequent business trips. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and sending shivers down her spine. As she sat curled up on the sofa, attempting to lose herself in a book, the lights began to flicker. The room plunged into darkness for a fleeting moment before the lights flickered back on, casting long, dancing shadows across the walls. Suddenly, the television, which had been off, burst to life, the static buzzing filling the room. Amelia stared at the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. She hadn't touched the remote, and she was certain she had switched the TV off before settling down with her book. A cold dread washed over her as she slowly reached for the remote, her hand trembling slightly. As she pressed the power button, the television abruptly switched off, returning the room to an unsettling silence. Amelia sat frozen on the sofa, her mind racing. She tried to rationalize the strange occurrence, attributing it to a power surge caused by the storm. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something else was at play, something sinister that she couldn't explain. As the days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences continued to escalate, each one more bizarre and unsettling than the last. Objects began to disappear and reappear in different locations, as if moved by unseen hands. One morning, Amelia discovered that a set of antique china plates, a wedding gift from Edward's grandmother, had vanished from the dining room cabinet. She searched high and low, but the plates were nowhere to be found. To her astonishment, a few days later, the missing plates reappeared in the cabinet, neatly arranged as if nothing had happened. It was as if someone had taken them for a spin and then returned them, untouched and undisturbed. The incidents became increasingly brazen, as if whatever or whoever was responsible was growing bolder, toying with her sanity. Furniture was moved, rugs were flipped over, and picture frames were found hanging askew. Amelia's once organized life had descended into a chaotic nightmare. Desperate for answers, Amelia confided in her closest friend, Olivia. At first, Olivia was hesitant to believe her friend's tales, dismissing them as stress-induced hallucinations. But as Amelia recounted the increasingly bizarre events, a look of concern crossed Olivia's face. "Have you tried talking to Edward about this?" Olivia asked, her brow furrowed with worry. Amelia sighed, running a hand through her hair in frustration. "He's always away on business, and when he is home, he's so distant, so preoccupied," she replied. "I don't want to burden him with this. He'll think I'm going crazy." Olivia placed a comforting hand on Amelia's arm. "There has to be a rational explanation for all of this," she said, her voice firm. "Maybe there's something wrong with the wiring in the house, or perhaps someone is playing a prank on you." Amelia clung to Olivia's words, desperate for a logical explanation. But deep down, a part of her knew that something more sinister was at play. Driven by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, Amelia decided to investigate. She spent hours poring over old house plans, searching for any hidden rooms or secret passages that could explain the strange occurrences. One afternoon, while examining a dusty blueprint in the attic, Amelia noticed a discrepancy. The plan indicated a small, rectangular room located off the master bedroom, a room that didn't seem to exist in the current layout of the house. Heart pounding with anticipation and trepidation, Amelia rushed to the master bedroom. She ran her fingers along the wall, searching for any sign of a hidden door. To her astonishment, as she pressed against a section of the wall that seemed suspiciously smooth, it swung inward, revealing a narrow passageway. Armed with a flashlight, Amelia cautiously stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of incense and decay, and a musty, earthy odor clung to the air. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light, she gasped in horror at what she saw. The room was sparsely furnished, with a single flickering candle illuminating a small wooden table in the center. On the table lay an assortment of strange and disturbing objects: animal bones, herbs, and vials filled with unknown liquids. A large leather-bound book, its pages filled with arcane symbols and diagrams, lay open on the table. As Amelia reached out to examine the book, a cold hand grasped her wrist. Amelia screamed, her blood turning to ice. She whirled around to face her attacker, her heart pounding. Standing before her was Edward, bathed in flickering candlelight. His eyes were cold and calculating, devoid of any emotion. He wore a robe, embroidered with arcane symbols. "Edward," she whispered, trembling with fear. "What is this place? What's going on?" Edward's lips curled into a cruel smile. "This, my dear Amelia, is the source of my power, and you, my love, are the key to unlocking its full potential." Amelia's eyes widened in horror as she finally understood the truth. The strange occurrences, the missing objects, it had all been leading to this moment. She had married a monster, a man who dabbled in dark forces. The shock proved too much for Amelia to bear. She collapsed to the floor, clutching her chest. Edward watched with cold indifference, a triumphant smirk on his lips. Her screams were swallowed by the thick stone walls. The house on Blackwood Lane had claimed another victim, leaving behind an eerie silence.